the number of casualties of dead and wounded Russian soldiers, is exceeding 70,000 people. So it's 5 times more than during the Afghan war, 10 years of the Afghan war.
What do you think of this, Mr. Zelensky saying that Russians should live in their own world until they change their philosophy? Those are his comments, saying that all Western countries should ban all Russian visitors. Do you think that there's something in this?
I think that Vladimir Zelensky, because of his age, does not remember the Soviet Union and doesn't know what does it mean to live in the totalitarian state. As well, I understand very well his emotions, because Ukraine is in the existential battle against the Russian army, and I appreciate all courage and all firmness of the Ukrainian people trying to resist aggression. But nevertheless, we should remember about history. For example, in 1933, there were approximately 550,000 Jews in Germany, and 350,000 and 400,000 of them emigrated from Germany before Germany imposed ban on immigration of Jews. The older who resided in Germany after that, they were killed in concentration camps. We should not forget that it was the United States, the United Kingdom, Norway, and many other countries, Palestine, who provided refuge, escape for Jews from Nazi Germany. And as well, I believe that Vladimir Zelensky and his staff knows very well that there are many Russians, I don't know, dozens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, who resist the war, who support Ukraine financially, ideologically, who try to explain to Russian people what's going on in his country and trying to make the war stopped. So I think that these phrases of Mr. Zelensky were caused by his dissatisfaction with the fact that sanctions are not very strong and they cannot break the Russian economic machine, and moreover, they cannot break Russian military machine. But I cannot imagine sanctions that would do this. So I understand very well emotions of Mr. Zelensky, but I believe that one day he will regret about this phrase.
What do you think is the answer? Because I suppose, as you say, he suggests that by implementing a ban like this, it would be more effective than sanctions. But given what you know of the Russian people, or given what you know of Putin and Putin government, how could, even if this did happen, it cause anything to change? Because if Russians were not able to visit other countries, they still wouldn't be able to vent their anger in any way that would change the situation in Ukraine, would they?
I would say that if idea of Mr. Zelensky would be implemented, and if all Russians who currently live in the European Union, European countries, or in the United States or in the UK will be deported back to Russia, and it will strengthen Putin's regime. Because many of Russians, once again, about dozens of thousands of people who left Russia because of being scared of political prosecution. There are dozens of Russian political activists who are in jail right now and who are under criminal investigation because of their open position regarding the war. So I do not believe that deportation of Russians who live in Europe back to Russia and ban on issuing visas for Russians will make any harm to Putin, but definitely it will weaken Russian political opposition, means it will strengthen Putin regime.
He obviously believes, Volodymyr Zelensky, that, while war rages on this scale, he doesn't feel Russians should perhaps be able to lead a completely normal life, to travel around Europe and be tourists, and that if you implemented such a serious thing as this, it might do something, it might change something, move something on, which at the moment doesn't look like anything is going to cause that to happen.
Hannah, let's once again remember, let's imagine that we are somewhere in 1939 or 1940. And we debate in the UK Parliament ban on giving visas to German Jews, and we enforce them to stay in Germany. What is their destiny? Today, the tourist visa is the only visa available for Russians who want to leave Russia and to look for refuge for political asylum, maybe in European countries, in the UK, in the United States. It's not possible to get any other type of visa. So if we want to keep Jews in Germany in 1940, let's follow Mr. Zelensky's advice.
Essentially, when you look at Russia, it's Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Putin's government. What you're saying, and what many people say, I think, is that it's would be so unfair to punish Russians when, as you've just said, so many of them have left, and it's very hard to tell, isn't it, what the majority of Russians in Russia are thinking and what their very real reaction to this war even is.
No, it's possible. It's possible because more and more polls are arranged in Russia, and the most recent data says that the share of the Russians who want to continue the war is approximately 55%, and the share of those who are looking for the peace arrangement immediately is about 40%. So the situation is shifting towards the termination of the war. And I think
that's still a majority in favor of the war, though.
Yes, but once again, do not forget that this is a totalitarian society, and many, at least a certain portion of people, is trying to answer try to give the answer that is politically acceptable, politically correct. So even let's say in the beginning of the war, somewhere in March, the share of those answers was like 70% to 20. Nowadays it's 55 to 40. And the situation is changing because the war is lasting almost 6 months, and the number of casualties of dead and wounded Russian soldiers, is exceeding 70,000 people. So it's 5 times more than during the Afghan war, 10 years of the Afghan war. So it's Russian people that do not get information from official TV channels, but they get information from their life. Are
we still seeing, at the start of the war, maybe those polls were different, but we were seeing quite visible, almost violent demonstrations against the war. A lot of protesters were put into buses, driven away, put into prisons. Are we seeing similar scenes now, as that has calmed down, as I understand it?
Yes, it's calmed down, and it is understandable why. 80 people are under criminal investigation for the peace proclamations, for the peace actions. And they can get from 10 to 15 years in jail. And it is well known in the country. And of course, there are not a lot of brave people who are ready to sacrifice their freedom, even in this situation. But we should not forget that approximately 20,000 people were fined because of their peace actions. So 20,000 people who were not afraid at least once demonstrate their position, it's a lot.